Greetings, Internet. This video is about how to change your perspective, so it's really simple. Get up and walk over there. Okay, so obviously we're not talking about literally changing one's perspective, because your perspective point is easily changed. You simply move. Moving changes one's perspective. So what this means is more along the lines of, what did Trisha say? Changing one's perspective on life. For those that don't know, I'm standing here being fat and naked because this is a Naked Truth video. Thanks to Trisha Hirschberger, who chooses our topics, films herself naked in order to be raw and open, and then uploads it to YouTube so that, we can see nothing and be honest with ourselves. So yes. So on to changing one's perspective. There's a point I have to make about that. This is essentially changing one's point of view, one's mental point of view, or feelings on a topic. And yes, that is extremely easy. You simply give them more information. But is changing someone's perspective necessarily a good thing? No, it isn't. I'll give you an example. I had a friend who went to the military. He was in charge, or not in charge of, but he was with the 1st Stryker units. So they were testing the Strykers. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with military practice, well, what they do is they get a Murphy unit. The Murphy unit is a slang for a group of idiots who will screw anything up. So here was my friend, ex-friend now, who was in a unit designed to test the Stryker, full of people so stupid that they would do anything that could possibly be done wrong to flip, damage, destroy, or basically have its Stryker given to the enemy. So he was with one of the worst military units he could possibly be with. And he learned 2 things from the military. The first one was, if you yell loud enough, generally people will just go with it rather than listen to you any longer. And the other one is, if you whine enough, people will generally go with it just so they don't have to listen to you any longer. Literally, the last time I saw this man, he sat there for 2 hours saying, "You never play pool with me." And I said yes, because I have to do homework, and I'm not going to spend 6 hours playing pool. I'm going to leave. We could watch a movie, which will only take 2, but I can't sit there and play pool for 6 hours. So yeah, this was a guy that figured if he whined enough, he'd get whatever he wanted, and it didn't work out that way. It did change his perspective, but I tell you, when he got out of the military, he whined and he screamed and he whined and he screamed until his wife left him. His best friend, me, stopped speaking to him, and now I think his mother's not speaking to him. I haven't talked to her in a few years, but apparently she's not too happy with him either. So, changing perspective, not necessarily a good thing. So what do we mean by changing perspective? I'll tell you, creating a state of greater clarity. If you're out there looking at a forest, and then it's raining really hard so you can't see it, and then the rain stops, and then suddenly, oh, there's a bear over there. You have now seen the world with a greater level of clarity. So we're trying to foster clarity. What fosters clarity? The first thing about fostering clarity is you must be open to new information. Let's face it here. You've got your Donald Trumps of the world. Nothing you say to Donald Trump will convince him that global warming is real. Why? Because global warming is not profitable. Well, okay, global warming is profitable. Not having global warming is not profitable. Think about it this way. Bats. They go around eating all the insects. We love bats. They kill horrible insects that suck our blood. The bats are dying off because of we stupid humans. You know what happens if the bats die off because of we stupid humans? Now all humans have to buy bug repellent. Bad environment, good for economy. Yeah, really is that sad. Anyway, Donald Trump, not open to new views. Really not. Although I'm sure what he'll tell you will change with the hour, but that's beside the point. He is, after all, at the moment, a presidential candidate, and most of them change their story depending on who they're talking to. So the first thing about changing one's perspective is to be open to new information. You have to be willing to receive that information. Second thing, of course, is to seek the right information. I'll tell you one thing that everyone probably should do. Read a book on developmental psychology. I read one, and I said, that's what I meant. This is what I've been looking for. Now I understand. This is where I get the concept, and I know Tricia Hirschberger, you've heard me say this before. This is where I get the concept of treating everyone with a mutual level of respect. I walk into the room, I respect people who respect me. It's that simple. You know, one of those things, I have a friend, elderly friend, she was a teacher's aide when I was in grade school. And she says, you know, now teachers don't get the respect they used to. Yeah, I'll tell you why. Because when I was in grade school, my teachers didn't respect me. When I was in high school, my teachers didn't respect me. When I got to college, my teachers didn't respect me. I don't think much of teachers anymore because they're so disrespectful. If I had kids, I'd have to go talk to my teacher and see if they were respectful towards my children. And if they were, I'd listen to them. If they're not, I'd say, excuse me, I think you're being disrespectful towards my kids. And you can't teach them anything if you think you're better than they are. It's one of those things. Another thing about that is the idea of abject or object psychology, wherein you can see yourself as an object. So if you trip on the banana peel and you fall on your rear end and you're not hurt too badly, you laugh because it's funny. Hopefully you don't do that to other people because they might not think it's so funny unless they're laughing too. But one of the ways we deal with that is, for example, if you have kids and your kids set the couch on fire. How do we deal with this? Well, we get upset with the behavior but not the child. It's one of those things that needs to happen. You basically say, okay, son, you've done something wrong. We need to deal with how we're going to address that problem. It's much like with modern day prisoners. You know, somebody commits a crime, a felony crime, like having too much weed, and then guess what happens? Their rights are stripped away. They can never vote again. In some states they can never have food stamps, so they can never find a job. You're upset with the person. Being upset with the behavior goes, okay, well, you've done something wrong. How do we correct it so that you don't do that again? This includes we have to find you some job training so you're not sitting at this horrible job and have nothing to do to make your life feel better, then smoke some weed. Of course, smoking weed isn't a big thing. That's just an example. But you get the point. Well, maybe it was stealing a car, or maybe it was graffitiing, or whatever have you. It's just one of those things. You have to treat everyone with this equal level of respect and work the problem rather than punish the offender. Some people, I guess, do need to be punished. I mean, if you molest children or something, I have no problem punishing you. But seriously, have you seen what happens in prisons nowadays? That's cruel and unusual by anyone's standards, and that's illegal in America. Anyway, that's my thing there. You know, to change my perspective, I guess you could say I do a lot of reading. I try to become what's referred to as an nth level thinker, which means I have evolved methodologies of dealing with this. You might note that the philosopher Socrates, his big thing was knowing what he didn't know, knowing the limits of his knowledge. This was the big thing that ticked a lot of people off, is because he always went around asking people questions, and often these questions pissed them off. But he believed that in order to make society better, you had to make people think. And guess what? I think he was right. Anyway, I've got to go finish with that annoying YouTube Creator Academy thing. So, I hope you guys have a wonderful time on the internet. And just remember, treat everyone with an equal level of respect. And when a problem comes up, work that problem. Don't get pissed off at people just because they made a mistake. Peace out. I'm Richard.